Welcome to the You Seem Great podcast. I'm Becca, a former therapist and matchmaker turned date coach.
And I'm Talia, a professional matchmaker and founder of a leading matchmaking company. Together, we have helped hundreds of singles find love. We're here to share our expert tips and tricks to help you find and keep love too. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the You Seem Great podcast.
First episode.
Woo woo! This is so exciting and a long time coming. We've been talking about doing a podcast for years, and It's finally time.
It's finally happening.
So we'll cover today on the podcast why we are starting it and what we have in store for you over the next season.
Yeah, but first, let's dive into who we are and why what we have to say matters.
You want to go first?
No, you take the floor.
Okay.
You have a much more impressive resume.
I don't know about that. Okay, so who I am. I am Talia Goldstein, and I am the founder of 3 Day Rule Matchmaking. I started the matchmaking company in 2010, so we're going on almost 15 years.
Wow.
And today, the company has a team of 50 full-time matchmakers across the country, and we've set up thousands and thousands of couples over the years, and we just have so much knowledge internally of what makes a great couple and how to navigate a relationship that I wanted to start the podcast so I can share all of that knowledge with you. I don't want to gatekeep all this information. I think it's really important to share because it's a frustrating time out there these days. So I've been a matchmaker, and every client that comes into the matchmaking process works with a matchmaker as well as a date coach. And one of my very favorite date coaches over the years is Becca. And so I asked her on a podcast date to see if she would join me, and she said yes. And here we are today, and I'm so excited.
Oh, same. I obviously, as you mentioned, wouldn't be here without you, so it's very exciting to do this together. I am Becca Klein. I am a former therapist turned matchmaker turned date coach. So I have a bit of the therapy background and understanding patterns, social behavior, and then I took a hard left and decided I wanted to go into matchmaking for something a little bit lighter and just different, more casual. That's how I met you. Talia hired me. She put her faith in me as a matchmaker, and I had some incredible wins as a matchmaker, but missed a little bit of the deeper work. So started to lean into date coaching, and that's how I got to where I am now. But I love talking all things dating and relationships because it really is so hard. I feel like people are more lost than ever, but people want connection more than ever. And there's so many rules out there and do's and don'ts, and it's really hard to just sift through what makes sense. So my hope for this podcast is that people feel validated with their experiences. They feel like they have a path forward, that there's information that's relevant to them that just feels manageable and digestible, but still authentic. So I really hope that audience members walk away from each episode more hopeful about dating, more optimistic, and just excited at the opportunities that dating can bring. Because I think when we are in the right headspace, dating is actually quite fun, quite bonding. It can be a great experience. We just have to get back on track.
Mm-hmm. Could not agree more.
So what made you originally want to go into matchmaking?
Well, I've always been into love. Like even from high school days, I would set up these blind date parties in high school, which is a really weird thing to do for a 16-year-old. But I loved matching people. And then I went into various careers. I worked in advertising, and then I worked as a TV producer for 10 years in Hollywood. And I liked it. But what I loved most was sitting in my cubicle and giving relationship advice. And everyone would come up and they'd ask me like to match them. And I just started matching up all my friends and my coworkers and realized I had this hidden talent. Mm-hmm. And all these people were getting engaged and married and then telling their friends about me. And so just for fun, I started hosting parties around town so I could bring my coworkers and my friends together. And they became popular. We started with 30 people And then they evolved to 300 people, 600 people. We were taking over these huge hotels all around
Wow.
LA, and I would run around and match people up. And I loved it. And it was really at one of the events, it was at the London West Hollywood. We had 600 people there that I realized I could make a profession out of this. And so I ended up leaving my job in TV and starting the matchmaking company. And then actually what happened—
It's important to note that you were you pregnant at this time when you decided to make this move?
No, I was, though, recently married.
Okay.
Right? As soon as I got married, I asked my husband if I could quit my job and start a company.
You're locked in. I'm quitting my job.
And he had to say yes. And he was such a trooper. He would come to all the events and take pictures. He was the photographer, super supportive. But it evolved. We went on Shark Tank. We got investment from Match.com. We scaled across the country. So it's been quite a journey. And my very favorite part is attending the weddings of the couples that we match, because in the day-to-day of matchmaking, you don't think about it too much. When you show up at the wedding and you realize nobody would be here without your talent, that's like when you really get to take it all in.
Yeah. I will say, like, your strength also is that even though you've built this company, you still remain so person-centered. Like, for you, you're so invested in all the clients. I'll never forget when I first started working, I remember being like, why is the founder calling me so much? Like, how does she have time to know who my specific clients are? And you really are, once someone tells you that they want to meet someone, they are hooked with you for life until they meet that person. You don't drop it until they meet their person. And we see that so many times. Yeah. You are fully invested. So
I'm a little too in the weeds, but I want to make sure they get to the finish line.
Yes. Yeah. Talia will not stop until you are in a relationship. So it's one of the things I admire most about you. And I think it's what makes you such a good founder and CEO, but also a good matchmaker still to this day. You still do so much of the matchmaking part.
Yeah, I truly love it. Like, I live for it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite parts about the job is on Mondays, we meet as a team and we cover success stories from the previous week. And it's amazing to hear the matchmakers tell stories of their clients, and they'll talk about how they got engaged or went on vacation or got married. And what you notice throughout the story is it wasn't easy. It's not like they meet their person and off to the races and it's perfect. Like, there's always a journey, and the matchmaker typically is helping them navigate through challenging times. And I would think, I wish I could record this. I wish everybody could hear the journey. And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to do the podcast, was so that we can talk about that, like how to navigate relationships and what goes into it and who ends up being successful in a relationship. And so that we can bring on some of the matchmakers and dating experts out there to, share as much information and knowledge with the world.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my philosophies, as you will all come to find out, is I feel like so much of the connection actually happens in like the bloopers of dating, in the moments that aren't so pretty and thoughtful and planned out. And what's hard is I think we now are quicker to cut things off because of the options available to us. But with a matchmaker or a date coach, or even if you can just slow down the process a little bit, you get a little bit more room to like talk through some of the bloopers or think of it in a different way, or have this opportunity to laugh over it. Like, some of my favorite stories to this day with my husband are the things that went wrong early on in our dates. He took me to see The Revenant on date 3. It was like a 4-hour Leonardo DiCaprio movie where he slept in a bear or a horse or something. It was like the worst idea. He tried to hold my hand in the movie. I did not know that. And apparently I pulled my hand away.
No.
To this day, it's one of our favorite stories. And I think, had we been so quick to kind of cut things off after that experience, it could have ended very differently. So
100%. It's funny, as you say that, I think I met my husband and it was not sparks right away, but he was kind and I kept giving him another shot. Previously, I dated really funny guys. Like, that was the thing. I liked like short, funny guys.
So you're telling me your husband has no sense of humor?
That's what I thought. On the first handful of dates, I'm like, he's so nice, but he's not funny. And then on Christmas, he dropped his phone in the pool and he had to email me to tell me that he didn't have his phone. And the email was so funny. And I realized he did have a great sense of humor. It just hadn't come out yet on the first few dates. So again, I would have cut it off quickly like everyone does on these apps if I hadn't given it a fair shot.
And he has a good sense of humor in times that other people might perceive extremely stressful, which
That's
is a huge
exactly
bonus.
right. But one of the reasons why I love it when you work with clients is because you get to help them at those stages, like when they have texting mishaps or they get themselves in a pickle, like you can help get them out of that stage. And I've seen it countless times where you really help them navigate the relationship. So I love having you on the team. And I'm so excited that you like started your own date coaching business because everybody needs a Becca in their life.
Oh, yeah. I will say some of my best success stories are when someone can get to me in real time with a thought they're having before they send that text, and I'm able to stop them, reword the text, finesse it a bit, and then it's a totally different outcome. So, there's just the smallest changes can make the biggest impact in your dating life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, again, what I hope that the audience members take away from this is that you don't have to completely change. You don't have to be a version of yourself that doesn't feel authentic. It's the smallest tweaks that lead to the biggest changes, especially in dating. So let's dive into what we're going to be talking about, some episodes, the structure. Let's fill people in.
And I just want to also add that it's okay that you don't have all the knowledge. Like, we're not taught this in school. And so everyone's running around like a chicken with their head cut off and getting mixed messages. And so we're here to simplify and tell you like what actually works. And again, it's not changing you at all. Like you should show up your most authentic self. It's just giving you tips and tricks and tools to get you to that second, third, fourth, fifth engagement, marriage, whatever your goals are. So some of the topics that we'll be covering, we will go over attachment styles. We'll talk about how to overcome hopelessness in
That's
dating.
a huge one, getting in the right mindset. Yeah.
We'll address how to date as an alpha woman.
Yeah.
We'll talk to men about how to make their dates feel safe.
Yeah. A lot of episodes specific to different demographics that we work with, different subcategories of struggles that we see in dating. There's an episode that's one of my favorites coming out about how to vet for compatibility. So basically how to date smarter.
We bring on Kara, our amazing LGBTQ matchmaker.
Oh, she's my favorite.
She's the best.
Yeah. So our episodes will be a mix of some episodes, just Talia and I sharing information, how to. We always try to structure it like a guide with a nice summary at the end that's very easy to take and put into action. And then some episodes we get to bring in some of our favorite guests, matchmakers, people in the dating space, people who have started apps themselves. So we're hoping to give just a wide range of knowledge and background intel on the dating space.
Yes.
Pulling the curtain behind what all the dating experts are seeing and experiencing and all the tidbits of information they have to offer.
Yes, exactly. That's my hope is we have these conversations at work all day, every day. We want you to kind of get a peek behind the curtain of exactly like what goes on when we're setting people up and how we're helping people.
One of our goals with this podcast is to also make it interactive and feel like we are your friends through this process of dating. So if you have any questions, any topics you really want us to cover, please feel free to always reach out at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. Talia and I love answering your questions. We love interacting. We love getting specific with different scenarios.
There's a lid for every pot. You are going to meet your person. So it might be in a month or in a year or in 2 years. Like you absolutely are going to meet your person, but we can speed up the process. So listen to our tips and tricks, take action, and then hopefully your person's around the corner.
Speed up the process and make it more enjoyable.
And learn and grow.
Yes. Growth.
Hashtag growth mindset.
Exactly. Thank you guys so much for joining the first ever episode of You Seem Great Podcast. We hope to see you here weekly.
We want to hear from you. DM us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media and let us know what you want us to cover on the next episode.
Join us next week and the week after and every week after that. We'll be here.
You'll get to know us real well.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Bye.
Thank you for joining today's episode of You Seem Great. You can find specifics of the episode in our show notes.
Want more? Follow us at You Seem Great Podcast on social media. Dating is hard. We're here to help.